Local history, local culture, local events, your community. This is the Joe Kelly Show.
Hi there, everybody. Welcome to the show. Thanks for joining us. Chris Sagas is our guest. Chris is the director of the Utica Public Library, and the Utica Public Library is what we're going to be talking about. But before we do that, we're going to say welcome. Good to see you again.
Good to see you too, Joe. Thanks.
Saw you last at the Oneida County History Center dinner. You were up there, and good night, wasn't it?
Oh, it's a great night.
Yeah.
And I mean, you're a wonderful MC. But
Well,
the
yeah, I didn't say it for that reason, but thank you for that.
Sure.
But let's talk about the Utica Public Library. Lots of good things happening there as well. I was up there just the other day, just nosing around because it brings back a lot of good memories for me. And you know, there have been changes, but in the physical setup of the place. But basically, it's what I remember as a boy.
Sure. And that's, you know, that's one of the great things about the library. It has a lot of historical importance to people who come through, who've been there for a long time. And the other thing, when you mentioned the changes that we've made, we want to continue to make some improvements and change kind of our service model just based on what people are coming through the door to look for.
Well, you know, it's interesting that you say that because I was thinking about that the other day, how institutions have changed this business, the library business over the years. I mean, there was a time when the library was it, you know. I mean, you went to the library and you got your books, and the books was the way, and your newspapers.
Exactly.
But it's all changed now. The model is all changed.
Yeah, sure. I mean, obviously, we still have all of the days of getting all of your information in one spot certainly are gone. The thing that, and we've talked about it on this show before as well, the variety of formats, the library still provides everything in every format that people want. And you know that I hit this over the head as many times as I can, that it's a really valuable investment for the community. People don't have to spend their own money to get access to resources.
Yeah, I know some people that are pretty well off in life, but boy, they go to the library and they say, well, why would I go out and buy a book for $20 or $30 when I can go get it at the library for nothing?
Exactly. I mean, one of the good things is certainly there's a relationship between bookstores and booksellers and libraries. What I like to use the library for is, you know, I kind of test out the product, and then if I want to spend more time with it or have it on my shelf, then I'll go make the purchase. And I think that's true of a lot of book readers.
Talking about books, what's popular at the Utica Public Library these days?
The most popular book that's probably remained popular the longest over the past year is Where the Crawdads Sing, which is super popular. Also, the new Margaret Atwood sequel to The Handmaid's Tale called The Testaments, that's gaining in popularity. One book that has actually kind of crept up through some reader requests and phone calls and just talk around the library, it's called The Only Plane in the Sky, which is actually an oral history of 9/11. And that's kind of creeping up. There's a bit of a buzz on that. And I think I was going to use a horrible metaphor. It slipped under the radar for readers. So, but the interesting thing, I'm actually really interested in looking at that book too. I'm particularly a fan of oral histories, but that's another big one.
I'm embarrassed because I'm not familiar with any of those books. The Handmaid's Tale I am, but Where Crawdads Sing?
Yeah, that's, I can't tell you what it's about. It's a fictional book that's actually one of our book groups, I believe, is doing it next year because the demand is so high for that. The other book that's popular, I should say this, the nonfiction book is called She Said. It's by the 2 New York Times reporters who are investigating essentially about the whole #MeToo movement. But anyway, that's getting a lot of buzz as well.
Is there a way now that you can, I would guess there is, with computers, you can keep track of all this? How many times a book is taken out?
Yeah, we have the Mid-York Library System kind of manages the entire database, but we're able to track monthly statistics. One of the good things about being part of the system too is that at that level, they'll communicate to all the libraries and say, hey, here are the books that there's long wait lists for that are the most popular. Would you be willing to redistribute some of your purchasing money for materials to get extra copies? So that's, I would say that happens every month, and that's ebooks and print books as well. So.
Who makes the decision at the Utica Public Library about what books to purchase?
For the purchases that we make for our collection with our funds, it's basically librarians in the library itself. So the books don't come automatically. We have to spend time reading reviews. I mean, one of the things is when you see the bestseller list, you want to make sure that you have multiple copies of those. But every book that shows up on our shelves is handpicked by somebody who selects it.
How do you, there's a phrase for this, when you get rid of a book, and I forget what it is now.
Well, weeding is the kind of term that we use most frequently. Deaccessioning is
That's the word I was looking for.
It's a little more technical.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
you know, and that decision, it's funny because a lot of people in our field, a lot of people in the world, they don't want to get rid of books. That feels somehow
You're
like
looking at one of them.
Yeah, and I have trouble getting rid of some of mine too.
Yeah.
So usually that's based on how recently has it gone out? Is the information timely? I mean, a lot of people want to get rid of old encyclopedia sets, but one of the things I can tell you about old encyclopedia sets is they don't have current information. Right. So it's tough to, you want to make sure that the information that you're giving to people is valid and accurate and timely. So sometimes we have to get rid of books, also because new books continually take the place of the old. So we're going to run out of space if we don't get rid of some books.
Yeah. You mentioned book clubs or book groups.
Book groups, yep.
You doing that down there actively?
Yeah, well, we have a monthly book club that meets in the library and has been meeting there for a long time. They're a great group. They meet in one of our meeting rooms on the second floor. We also do book groups out in the community. We do one just down the road at Schuyler Commons every month. We also have, this is coming up, registration starts in the middle of October. We do a 20th century classic fiction discussion group. This year's book is The Blacker the Berry by Wallace Thurman. So we're excited about that title. All the titles are good. I mean, there's so much great literature, but that's coming up in October, and you can register through our website.
And you mentioned things coming up in October. I know you've got other things coming up this fall. We'll talk about that when we come back. Chris Sagas is our guest. 2.5 years in as the director of the Utica Public Library. We'll be talking more about that great institution right after this. Short break, right back.